me here somewhere. Where's my me? Where's my me? Should be this one, right? Hey, there he is. Hello. All right, we got a couple things to do this morning. A couple of things. First, Devin, thank you so much for 130 days of Cal. Here's to another 130. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 6, 6, 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 6, 8, 6, 9, 10, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 4, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 7, 9, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 88, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And now, a secondary celebration, as we do around here. Oh, happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey! Happy birthday, Devin. I hope tomorrow goes super duper ooper whooper well. Is tomorrow your, tomorrow's the 7th. Is tomorrow when you do your big strumungus? Is tomorrow big strumgus? Big strumgus for dumgus? Yippee! I won't be able to attend as I will be out. Actually, ironically enough, I will be at a birthday party tomorrow. So lots of birthday vibes going on. But everyone here should go and hang out at Devin's stream tomorrow. They will be doing a birthday celebration donathon slash subathon. And you should go and you should give them money and you should watch them and then laugh and clap. Cry? Maybe. That's up to Devin. Also, the Cheldar Slayer Master will no longer give bronze, iron, or steel dragons as Slayer tasks. Oh, that's interesting. I don't really use them, but that's cool. So they just don't give, like, metal dragons as a task? Or they don't give those specifically? Agility has received a 10% boost. Do you mean, like, to XP rates? Or just, like, speed? Oh, Roxanne has something in her mouth. What is that? Roxanne, what do you have? Roxanne, what is that? You're so cute. What is that, girl? I don't know. I think she's fine. 10% XP. Wow. Holy shit. That's awesome. Lainey's going to be so pissed to hear that because she just trained agility. Like she was just doing agility training. Also, let me give out my very special good mornings to Sammy. Good morning. Alibaba. Good morning. You find those fleas. Avery. Good morning. Good job getting a good night's rest. Devin, hoy. Olive, hello, good morning. Komodo, hello, good morning. Saw you were playing a little bit of Terraria this morning. Hope that's going well. Scrolling. Gatorade, good morning. And I think that's everyone. All right, fantastic. All right, I'm going to get right into the reading here. And then we're going to be hopping over to Legend of the Dragoon. We are finally on the second disc, so that'll be pretty fun. I got that all downloaded and ready to go, and we'll see how that goes. I kind of enjoy Pokopia. I told you, you fucking dingus. There's a game in every genre for everyone. If you were ever going to enjoy a casual game like that, it was going to be the Pokemon one. I'm glad you're enjoying it, though. Wait, you didn't think you were gonna like it and then you still bought it? You're insane. You're insane. You're correct. Mind-boggling behavior. I can't wait to get out of this fuck-ass free-to-play world and play real man's RuneScape. Dude, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. I made, what, 4 mil yesterday off of the thing? I didn't buy it. Grim got it, and I'm borrowing her copy on my Switch, too. See, now that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it right there. She's insane. She's in pain. You can tell by what she's playing. Pocopia strikes 12. Midnight arrives. Devon's going to have a real good time. There's a grand prize for the Pokemon supplies. All right. Anyway. You're going to hear me sniffle a little bit. I'm still a little bit sick. I'm sure you guys can hear it in my energy, though. I feel much better today. Yesterday, I felt just drained. Ooey, gooey, stewy, and dewy. But today, I feel kind of the same, but with a lot more energy. Like, I'm still sniffly. I still got a little bit of a cough, but I just, like, energy-wise, I feel so much better. All right. Let's begin. Book 12. Difficult Choices. Our ship sailed out beyond the stream of ocean, across the waves of open sea, and came to Aea, home of the newborn dawn, who dances in meadows with the beams of Helios. We beached the ship upon the sandy shore and disembarked, and there we fell asleep while waiting for bright morning. When dawn came, born early with her fingertips like petals, I sent my men to Circe's house to bring the body of the dead Elpenor. Quickly we chopped the wood, and at the furthest headland we held a funeral for him, and wept profusely. Roxanne is going crazy over there. Girl, it's a piece of paper. Relax. I mean, I'm glad she's having fun, but this is reading time. Also, how am I reading the book if I'm looking up? Well, frankly, I'm psychic. Next question. Oh yeah, last time they went to freaking, like the mouth of Hades, right? Yeah, and they went to go see, like a prophet, like a dead prophet, like the spirit of one. And he was like, "You're probably gonna have a bad time." And Odysseus was like, "Ah, man. All right, but will I get home?" And he said, "Yeah, probably." And he went, "Ah, all right, well, all right." Quickly, we chopped the wood, and at the farthest headland, we held a funeral for him and wept profusely, crying out in grief. We burned his body and his gear and built a mound and dragged a pillar onto it and fixed his oar on top. Each ritual step in turn. Circe, the well-groomed goddess, was aware that we were back from Hades, and she hurried to meet us with her slaves. They carried bread and meat and bright red wine. She stood among us and said, "This is amazing. You all went alive to Hades. You will be twice dead when other people will only die one time. Eat now and stay here drinking wine all day. At dawn, sail on. I will explain your route in detail, so no evil thing can stitch a means to hurt you, on the land or sea." I am a stubborn man, but I agreed. So there we sat and feasted on the meat, and strong, sweet wine until the sun went down. When darkness fell, the men slept by the ship. Then Circe took my hand and led me off apart from them and questioned me in detail. I told her everything. The Lady Circe replied at last, "That quest is over now. So listen, I will give you good instructions. Another god will make sure you remember. First, you will reach the sirens, who bewitch all passerby. If anyone goes near them in ignorance and listens to their voices, that man will never travel to his home, and never make his wife and children happy to have him back with them again. The sirens who sit there in their meadow will seduce him with piercing song. Around about them lie great heaps of men, flesh rotting from their bones, their skin all shriveled up. Use wax to plug your sailors' ears as you row past, so they are deaf to them. But if you wish to hear them, your men must fasten you to your ship's mast by hand and foot, straight upright with tight ropes. So bound, you can enjoy the siren song. But if you beg your men to set you free, they have to tie you down with firmer knots. I will not give you definite instructions about which route to take when you have sailed beyond the sirens. Let your heart decide. There are two choices, and the first goes through vast overhanging rocks, which Amphitrite batters aggressively with mighty waves. The blessed gods call these the Wandering Rocks. No birds can fly through safe, not even doves, who bring ambrosia to Zeus. One dove is always lost in that sheer gulf of stone, and Zeus must send another to restore the number of the flock. No human ship has ever passed there. When one tries to enter, the waves and raging gusts of fire engulf ship timbers and the bodies of men. Only the famous Argo sailed through there, returning from the visit with Aedes. The current hurled the ship toward the rocks, but Hera, who loved Jason, led them safe. Taking the second way, you meet two rocks. One reaches up to heaven with its peak surrounded by blue fog that never clears. No light comes through there, even in the summer. No man could climb it or set foot upon it, even if he had 20 hands and feet. The rock is sheer, and as if it had been polished. Right in the middle lies a murky cave that faces west towards dark Erebus. Steer your ship past it, great Odysseus. The hollow cave is so high up, no man could shoot it with an arrow. There lives Scylla, howling and barking horribly. Her voice is puppy-like, but she is dangerous. Even a god would be afraid of her. She has 12 dangling legs and 6 long necks with a gruesome head on each, and in each face 3 rows of crowded teeth pregnant with death. 12 legs, 11 Virginias. Her belly slumps inside the hollow cave. She keeps her heads above the yawning chasm and scopes around the rocks and hunts for fish. She catches dolphins, seals, and sometimes even enormous whales. Queen Amphitrite, ruler of the roaring waves, nurtures many creatures. No sailor ever passed without that way unharmed. She snatches one man with each mouth from off each dark, proud ship. The other rock is near enough to shoot an arrow right across. The second rock is lower down, and on it there grows a fig tree with thick leaves. Beneath, divine Charybdis sucks black water down. 3 times a day she spurts it up, 3 times she clugs it down. Avoid that place when she is swallowing the water. No one could save you from death then, even great Poseidon. Row fast and steer your ship alongside Scylla, since it is best you lose 6 men than all of them. I answered, Goddess, please, tell me the truth. Is there no other way? Or can I somehow circumvent Charybdis and stop that Scylla when she tries to kill my men? The goddess answered, No, you fool, your mind is still obsessed with deeds of war. But now you must surrender to the gods. She is not mortal, she is deathless, evil, terrible, wild, and cruel. You cannot fight her. The best solution and the only way is flight. I'm afraid if you take your time to arm against the rocks, she'll attack more than with all 6 heads, and take 6 more. So row across with all your might and call on Scylla's mother, Crates, great force, who bore her as a blight on humankind. Go fast, before the goddess strikes again. Then you will reach the island of Thrinacia, where Helios keeps sheep and many cattle, 50 per herd, with 7 herds in all. They never reproduce or die, and those who tend them are the smooth-haired goddesses Phaethucia and Lampatia, the shining daughters of Helios by bright Neaera. She brought them up and sent them off to live in that remote Thrinacia, to guard their father's sheep and cattle. If you can remember home and leave the cows unharmed, you will at last arrive in Ithaca. But if you damage them, I must foretell disaster for your ship and for your crew. Even if you survive, you will return late and humiliated, having caused the death of all your men. The golden throne of dawn was rising up the sky as Circe concluded, and she strode across her island. I went back to my ship and roused the men to get on board and loose the sternwood cables. Embarking, they sat down, each in his place, and struck the gray water with their oars. Behind our dark, proud ship, the dreadful goddess Circe sent friendly wind to fill the sails. We worked efficiently to organize the rigging, and the breeze and pilot steered. Then, with an anxious heart, I told the crew, My friends, the revelations Circe shared with me should not be kept a secret, known to me alone. I will share them with you, and we can die in knowledge of the truth, or else escape. She said we must avoid the voices of the otherworldly sirens, steer past their flowering meadow, and she says I alone should hear their singing. Bind me to keep me upright at the mast, wound round with rope. If I beseech you and command you to set me free, you must increase my bonds and chain me even tighter. So I told them, each detail. Soon our well-built ship, blown fast by fair winds, neared the island of the sirens, and suddenly the wind died down. Calm came. Some spirit lulled the waves to sleep. The men got up, pulled down the sails, and stowed them in the hollow hold. They sat at oar and made the water whiten, struck by polished wood. I gripped a wheel of wax between my hands and cut it small. Firm kneading in the sunlight warmed it, and then I rubbed it in the ears of each man in his turn. They bound my hands and feet, sat upright at the mast. They sat and hit the sea with oars. We traveled fast, and when we were in earshot of the sirens, they knew our ship was near and started singing. Odysseus, come here. You are well known for many stories, glory of the Greeks. Now stop your ship and listen to our voices. All those who pass this way hear honeyed song poured from our mouths. The music brings them joy, and they go on their way with greater knowledge, since we know everything the Greeks and Trojans suffered in Troy, by God's will, and we know whatever happens anywhere on earth. Their song was so melodious, I longed to listen more. I told my men to free me. I scowled at them, but they kept on rowing. Eurymachus and Paramedes stood and tied me even tighter with more knots. But when we were well past them and I could no longer hear the singing of the sirens, I nodded to my men and they removed the wax that I had used to plug their ears and untied me. When we had left that island, I saw a mighty wave and smoke and heard a roar. The men were terrified. Their hands let fall the oars, they splashed down in the water. The ship stayed still since no one now was pulling the slender blades. I strode along the deck, pausing to cheer each man, then gave a speech to rally them all. Down, down, king of bones with a coral crown. Is that one of Scylla's songs? God, I gotta play the post-game of Hades at some point. Dear friends, we are experienced in danger. This is not worse than the time the Cyclops captured us and forced us to remain inside his cave. We got away that time thanks to my skill and brains and strategy. Remember that. Come on then, all of you, and trust my words. Sit on your benches, strike the swelling deep with oars, since Zeus may grant us a way out from this disaster also. Pilot, listen. These are your orders. As you hold the rudder, direct the ship away from that dark smoke and rising wave. Head toward the rock. If the ship veers the other way, you will endanger us. They promptly followed orders. Such a good song. I love her songs, yeah. I beat it a long while ago. I beat it, I want to say at the end of last year, or maybe the beginning of this year. But I just haven't gone back to do the post-game content. I got credits, but I haven't done the rest of it. I like taking a break from games like that. But I do want to go back to it, he says. Like he says about every game, ever, constantly, all the time, forever. I did not mention Scylla, since she meant inevitable death, and if they knew, the men would drop their oars and go and huddle down in the hold in fear. Then I ignored Circe's advice that I should not bear arms. It was too hard for me. I dressed myself in glorious armor. In my hands, I took 2 long spears, and I climbed up on the forecastle. I thought that rocky Scylla would appear from that direction to destroy my men. So we rowed through the narrow strait in tears. On one side, Scylla, on the other, shining Charybdis with a dreadful gurgling noise sucked down the water. When she spewed it out, she seethed, all churning like a boiling cauldron on a huge fire. The froth flew high to spatter the topmost rocks of either side, but when she swallowed back the sea, she seemed all stirred from inside, and the rock around was roaring dreadfully, and the dark blue sand below was visible. The men were seized by fear, but while our frightened gaze was on Charybdis, Scylla snatched 6 men from the ship, my strongest, best fighters. Looking back from down below, I saw their feet and hands up high as they were carried off. In agony, they cried to me and called my name, their final words. As when a fisherman out on a cliff casts his long rod and line set round with oxhorn to trick the little fish with his bait. When one is caught, he flings it gasping back onto shore. So those men gasped as Scylla lifted them high to her rocky cave, and at the entrance ate them up, still screaming, still reaching out to me in their death throes. That was the most heartrending sight I saw in all the time I suffered on the sea. Free from the rocks of Scylla and Charybdis, we quickly reached the island of the god, Hyperion's son, Helios, the sun god. There were his cattle with their fine broad faces, and many flocks of well-fed sheep. While still out on the sea in my black ship, I heard the lowing of the cattle in their pens and bleating of the sheep. I kept in mind the words of blind Tiresias, the prophet, and Circe. Both had given strict instructions that we avoid the island of the sun and god of human joy. I told my men with heavy heart, "My friends, I now know how much you have endured. I know how much you have endured, but listen to me now. Tiresias and Circe both insisted that we must avoid the island of the sun, the joy of mortals. They said dreadful danger lurks there. We have to steer our ship around it." They were quite downcast by this. Eurylochus said angrily to me, "You are unfair to us, Odysseus. You may be strong, you never seem to tire, but you must be made of iron. But we men have had no rest or sleep. We are exhausted, and you refuse to let us disembark and cook our tasty dinner on this island. You order us to drift around all night in our swift ship across the misty sea. At night, fierce storms rise up and wreck men's ships, and how can anyone escape disaster if sudden gusts of wind from north or west bring cool blasts?" Sorry, my cats are chasing each other. Roxanne! Stop it! She's going absolutely sicko mode right now. Bleh. Despite the wishes of the gods, let us submit to evening. Let us stay here and cook food beside the ship. At dawn we can disembark and sail the open sea. That was his speech. The other men agreed, and then I saw a spirit must be plotting our destruction. My words flew out. "Eurylochus, you force me to yield, since I am one and you are many. But all of you, swear me a mighty oath. If we find any herd of cows or flock of sheep, do not be fool enough to kill a single animal. Stay clear and eat the food provided by immortal Circe." They swore as I commanded. When they finished making the oaths, we set our well-built ship inside the curving harbor, near fresh water. The men got out and skillfully cooked dinner. When they were satisfied with food and drink, they wept, remembering their dear companions, whom Scylla captured from the ship and ate. Sweet sleep came down upon them as they cried. When night was over, when the stars were gone, Zeus roused a blast of wind, an eerie storm. He covered earth and sea with fog, and darkness fell from heaven. When rose-fingered dawn appeared, we dragged the ship inside a cave a place nymphs danced in, and we moored it there. I gave a speech to my assembled men. "My friends, we have supplies on board. Let us not touch the cattle, or we will regret it. Those cows and fat sheep are the property of Helios, the great sun god who sees all things and hears all things." I told them this. Reluctantly, they yielded. But that month the south wind blew and never stopped. No other was ever blowing, only south and east. While the men still had food and wine, they kept clear of the cows. They hoped to save their lives. But when our ship's supplies ran out, the men were forced to hunt. They used their hooks to catch both fish and birds, whatever they could get, since hunger gnawed their bellies. I strode off to pray in case some god would show me how to get back home. I left my men behind and crossed the island, washed my hands in shelter out of the wind, and prayed to all the gods. They poured sweet sleep upon my eyes. Meanwhile, Eurylochus proposed a foolish plan. "Listen, my friends, you have already suffered too much. All human deaths are hard to bear, but starving is the most miserable of all. So let us poach the finest of these cattle and sacrifice them to the deathless gods. If we get home to Ithaca, at once we will construct a temple to the sun god with treasure in it. If he is so angry about these cows that he decides to wreck our ship, and if the other gods agree, I would prefer to drink the sea and die at once than perish slowly, shriveled up here on this desert island." All the others agreed with him. They went to poach the best of Helios' cattle, which were grazing beside the ship. The men surrounded them and called upon the gods. They had plucked leaves from oak trees. On the ship there was no barley. They prayed, then killed them, skinned them, and cut off the thighs and covered up the bones with fat. A double layer with raw meat on top. They had no wine to pour libations over the burning offering, but they made do with water, and they roasted all the innards. And when the thighs were burned, the entrails sprinkled, they cut the other meat into chunks for skewers. Sweet sleep melted from my eyes. I rushed back to the ship beside the shore. When I was close, the meaty smell of cooking engulfed me, enfolded me. I groaned and told the gods, "Oh, Zeus and all you deathless gods, you blinded my mind with that infernal sleep. My men did dreadful things while I was gone." Meanwhile, Lampetia in flowing skirt ran off to tell the sun god who had killed his cows. Enraged, he called the other gods. "Great Zeus and all you other deathless gods, you must punish Odysseus' men. They killed my cattle. I delighted in those cows all through each day, when I went up to heaven and when I turned to earth. If they do not repay me, I will sink down to Hades and bring my light only to the dead." Zeus answered, "Helios, please shine with us and shine for mortals on life-giving earth. I will immediately smite their ship with my bright thunderbolt and smash it up in fragments all across the wine dark sea." I heard this from the beautiful Calypso, who had been told by Hermes. Back on shore beside my ship, I scolded each of them. It did no good. The cows were dead already. The gods sent signs. The hides began to twitch. The meat on skewers started mooing, raw and cooked. Then there was the sound of cattle lowing. For 6 days my men banqueted on beef from Helios. When Zeus, the son of Cronus, led in the 7th day, the wind became less stormy, and we quickly went on board. We set up the mast and unfurled the sails and set out on the open sea. When we had left that island, we could see no other, only the sky and sea. Zeus made a massive dark blue storm cloud hang above our ship. The sea grew dark beneath it. For a moment the ship moved on, but then came Zephyr, shrieking noisily, rushing, with torrential tempest. A mighty gust of wind broke off both forestays, and tacking was scattered in the hold. The mast was broken backward, and it struck the pilot in the stern. It smashed his skull, his bones were crushed, his skeleton was smashed. He fell down like a diver from the deck. His spirit left his body. At that instant, Zeus thundered and hurled bolts to strike the ship. Shaken, it filled with sulfur. All the men fell overboard, and they were swept away like seagulls on the waves beside the ship. The gods prevented them from reaching home. I paced on board until the current ripped the ship's side from the keel. The waves bore off the husk and snapped the mast. But thrown across it was a backstay cable, oxhide leather. With this I lashed the keel and mast together and rode them, carried on by fearsome winds. At last the tempest ceased. The west wind lulled. I worried that the south wind might compel me to backtrack to the terrible Charybdis. All night I was swept backwards. At sunrise I came back to the dreadful rocks of Scylla and of Charybdis, gulping salty water, and overshadowed by the fig tree's branches. I jumped and clutched its trunk, bat-like, unable to plant my feet or climb. The roots were down too low, the tall, long branches too high, so I kept clinging on. I hoped Charybdis would belch my mast and keel back up. She did. As one who spends the day judging quarrels between young men at last goes home to eat. At that hour, the planks came bobbing up out of Charybdis. I let go my hands and feet and dropped myself down to splash into the sea below, beside the timbers of floating wood. I clambered onto them and used my hands to row myself away, and Zeus ensured that Scylla did not see me, or else I could not have survived. I drifted for 9 days. On the evening of the 10th, the gods helped me reach the island of the dreadful, beautiful, divine Calypso. She loved and cared for me. Why should I tell the story that I told you and your wife yesterday in your house? It is annoying, repeating tales that have been told before. End of book 13. So yes, that's him recounting, I guess, how he got to Circe's island before going to where he is with Alcinous now. I can't remember how he still has a crew. Does he have a crew? No, he washed up here alone. Never mind. No, he washed up here alone. That's right. So there they go. Odysseus' crew is dead. They fucked themselves up. Well, really, Eurylachus fucked them over, but they fucked themselves over. You know, it's so interesting going back through this book and seeing all of the sort of events that are so famous throughout mythology and history, and how they are like a paragraph or so. Like, the descriptions are not that detailed, which is probably because it's an oral tradition. They probably would have their own flourishes and touches to each part of the tale. But it's interesting to just kind of read the sort of original wording as written down, at least as best they could, you know? Obviously, again, original wording is sort of a misnomer, but I don't really know what else to call it. Old wording. Dude, don't eat the cows. Sure thing, boss. What if we ate the cows? Oh, fuck, we all died. No. Oh, man. Stiffly. Well, fairly short chapter. Not too bad. We're on book 13 now.